A row of shop signs hangs, invitingly bright, promising a ton of bargains with friendly service behind every counter. A quiet street lined with tangled greenery opens up, a lone figure pausing to read the welcome from Shinbashi Shopping Street. The entrance to a covered shopping arcade looms, lights glowing softly as the sign above whispers that you can find anything you need here. A tense scene unfolds indoors, someone looms over another, one lying vulnerably on the floor as the words "Kami kill" hang ominously between them. Papers scatter and a young man glances sideways, tension etched in his eyes as the world outside the window feels just out of reach. In a cramped room, a quiet moment passes between two figures. One sits on a hospital bed, meals and medicine hint at battles fought beyond what's visible. A close-up of hurried hands scraping a bowl, the mundane ritual of lunch echoing the struggles hidden beneath daily life. A gentle voice cuts through the silence, asking if the lunchbox was put in the sink, while the listener's gaze drifts away, weighed by a private burden. He glances away, admitting quietly to something only he can understand, his words lingering in the silence. A gentle banter fills the room as lunch routines persist, familiar flavors of frozen chicken mingling with uncertain futures. The conversation shifts to simple comfort food, memories of bento boxes and bowls anchoring them to the present. He gestures meaningfully, mentioning the subtle power behind a home-cooked dish, the ordinary blending with unspoken care. A perfectly packed lunch sits in its box, promising sustenance but holding deeper stories within its layers. Softly, someone acknowledges their lack of experience with traditions, the gap between wishes and reality palpable in their tone. Brief laughter cuts through as the tricky custom of sake and crab shells is explained, the warning of sharpness carrying an undercurrent of concern. Across the quiet hospital room, an old habit surfaces, stirring memories of how the past shaped the way they live and the bonds they still cherish. An earnest reminder lingers about tradition, as one face rests sullenly while another offers advice on staying grounded. A well-dressed figure calls out to Mr. Ibuki, arguing that everything ultimately comes down to efficiency and the right strategy. Shoes on the pavement echo in the corridor, old complaints about efficiency and cost performance rub against youthful energy. A friend gestures at the neighborhood sameness, comparing the endless talk of strategies and teamwork that rarely bear fruit. Another voice wonders aloud about the network of cheap options available, hinting at the opportunities for daring entrepreneurs and restless artists. A thoughtful elder studies the passing crowd, considering how the place stays alive through cycles of struggle and small wins. He gazes down the bustling corridor, dismissing any magic by calling it just a normal street, downplaying the wonder beneath the routine. A hand clutches a phone, the digital connection tying him to Denkichi, a final image blending old friendships with new realities. Denken stands tall at the entrance, ready to introduce the heart of Tenoda Shopping Street to newcomers. A cheerful group huddles together as someone records today's special introduction, trying to capture the spirit of the market on camera. Outside the storefront, three figures discuss how the lack of stairs and hidden exits trap visitors within the lively maze of shops. The storied shop sign reveals decades of family history, as someone points out who currently owns the business. Scissors glide through hair in quiet reassurance, the promise that they'll keep moving forward echoing softly in the air. Another gentle snip lands, accompanied by a calm "yeah," as tiny moments of care build into silent solidarity. Around the busy salon, older voices remind the young not to forget their roots, sharing wisdom while laughter and hair clippings float together. Enjoying croquettes and tender meat, they toast Mr. Ibuki, savoring both the food and the warmth of rare companionship. The old man wonders why the boys keep showing up but never buy anything. A pair of legs and shoes hints at nervous energy as someone admits things could be even worse. Two figures talk quietly about another robbery, aware that the neighborhood feels less safe than before. Silent tension lingers as one listens, the weight of bad news pressing down over everything unsaid. A boy stares at his phone with restless eyes, searching for escape or distraction in the glow of the screen. Fingers tap a phone, scrolling through troubling updates as worries grow with every headline. Bicycles parked on a deserted street underline the uneasy quiet after recent trouble, everyone wary of what comes next. An old man gives advice during a haircut, encouraging honesty and caution in a world where trust has frayed. Rumors spread about a strange right-hand man selling all sorts of secrets in the city's shadows. Curiosity spikes with the mention of the right hand, and questions begin to swirl in hushed voices. A lone boy sits quietly, lost in thought as uncertainty hangs over him. The snipping of scissors accompanies talk about drugs and information trades, while the truth remains elusive. The darkness outside pulses as someone ponders the hidden dangers lurking beyond the window. Hands continue working, distractedly considering what sacrifices might mean for the ones they love. Inside the small shop, plans shift and conversations turn as new arrivals must quickly adapt to survive. A final glance passes between friends, silently waiting and wondering when their old man will return. He raises his hand in greeting, eyes intent but demeanor calm despite the tension in the air. Outside, a lone figure approaches the shop entrance, uncertainty guiding each step toward the familiar striped pole. A wide exterior shot reveals the quiet barbershop street, sunlight glinting across closed doors and forgotten signs. A broom sweeps dust from the floor, the simple act echoing the persistence of routine in a slow afternoon. In the muted interior, one stands and another sits, both lost in the hush that follows morning chores. He stares into the distance, holding an old photo, memories flickering silently behind his gaze. Together on the worn bench, they share a rare word as the city hums quietly beyond the walls. He admits to timing his lunch with a phone stopwatch, a small gesture of order in an uncertain day. He sits in quiet contemplation, the weight of passing time pressed into his posture. A new fact is revealed 1 second per photo, each moment measured and preserved. Eyes narrow thoughtfully, pondering the meaning behind every fleeting minute. A gentle smile confides that time's flow is a truly frightening thing. Confusion flickers as he's told a kitchen timer would be better than a stopwatch. Realization flickers, sometimes observing time's passage brings clarity, sometimes only more questions. A surprising truth leaves him speechless, the way time escapes unnoticed hitting home. Documents and traditions mark the years, and a reminder for proof of naturally curly hair signals how swiftly life keeps moving forward. He feels a hand ruffle his hair as someone remarks how times are changing. A friend reassures him about getting a perm to prove his hair is truly curly. They sit side by side, talking about how even phone timers can't make things simpler. A question about haircuts lingers as both consider the years that have slipped by. With a quiet smile, one offers to cut the other's hair, the act weighted by tenderness. The barber's stance suggests it's time to try something different, maybe even a new shop. A gentle hand presses, reminding him that this is the only place he's ever cut his hair. The room settles, filled with the awkward comfort of realizing change is both strange and inevitable. They sit together in the quiet shop, surrounded by empty chairs and old memories. A moment hangs between them as silence fills the air, each one lost in their thoughts. He casually mentions that the drain in the bathroom is clogged, weaving the mundane into their lingering conversation. A nervous laugh follows as cleaning the drain is compared to a horror movie scene, organs and slime vivid in their imaginations. He thanks his friend for always cleaning but never asking for help, the words soft but full of gratitude. The story pivots to a time when he turned off his brain because the task was so revolting. A quick aside acknowledges he stopped listening partway, unable to handle the gross details. Across the window, they share a quiet glance, the weight of unspoken worries reflected in the city outside. She stands at the table offering a gentle greeting, her presence comforting in the midst of the usual mourning. He gazes at the job posting, lost in thought about hiring someone new and how things might change. A broom sweeps through silence as conversation turns to who's willing to help out with simple chores. They talk about budgets and the absurdity of having 2 chairs with only one person allowed to cut hair. He admits quietly he doesn't want to touch other people's hair, the words heavy with his own discomfort. Someone teases him for being a germaphobe, but he shrugs, used to such remarks. Hands hold up a notice, joking about the lack of any takers for the open position. In the quiet of the shop, the reason becomes clear: most customers only come for someone they trust. He sits quietly, the hum of the TV filling the room as he pretends to care about the weather report. A broadcast warns of high pollen and chilly winds, the outside world pressing in just beyond the screen. A friend sees through the act, teasing that his eyes are on someone else, not the TV. At school, he slumps over his desk, exhaustion and longing mingling on his expression. The only reason for watching is quietly admitted, his gaze fixed where he thinks no one will notice. A sudden realization flashes in his eyes as a sharp awe escapes his lips. Coffee spills at the cafe as a clumsy gesture interrupts the slow burn of the morning. He approaches his brother, asking to borrow money in exchange for a warm cup of coffee, hope flickering behind tired eyes. Crisp bills change hands as a boy offers thanks, his gaze cautious but appreciative. A quiet glance passes between them, trust hanging in the balance with every small favor given and received. He's reminded that nicknames are only for moments when he asks for something, distancing affection with a cool remark. Eyes shift away as the question lingers, "You just want to see Ichiko, don't you?" He honestly admits that seeing Ichiko is all he wants right now, his voice tinged with longing. A blunt question about romance earns a shy nod of agreement, the vulnerability written on both their faces. If he wants coffee, he's told to get a job and earn it himself, the lesson of independence unmistakable. A departing look and the click of a door leave him standing alone, waiting for the courage to follow his heart. A wall clock shows time slipping swiftly past, prompting a quiet realization. He glances down the hallway as someone approaches with a determined stride. A figure stands formally, cradling a dinner lottery box in steady hands. The lottery box's bold label promises an evening's fate sealed inside. Two friends bicker about avocado prices while preparing the lottery draw. A tense hand rustles through the paper slips inside the box. His eyes widen in suspense as he pulls one slip from the box with trembling fingers. Fingers reveal the winning slip, one tiny piece of paper setting the night's mood. He steps confidently from the shop, declaring that today is his lucky day in the bright morning light. A quiet moment as he passes beneath the striped barber pole, the familiar entrance promising routine and change. A handwritten sign hangs on the glass, "Be right back, Fuji and I," hinting at absences and small-town rhythms. Saddling up, he rides his bicycle out into the narrow street, propelled by a surge of renewed purpose. The spinning wheels hum against the pavement, the wind catching his jacket as he accelerates away from comfort. He rushes past the barbershop, the breeze rustling faded signs while memories tug him to look back. Inside a cafe, he sits alone in a shadowed corner, quietly composing his thoughts as life flows beyond the window. A coffee cup clinks against its saucer in his hands, the tiniest sound underscoring a fragile sense of beginning. She serves him coffee with a gentle smile, the moment warm despite the day's fatigue. A close-up reveals quiet concentration as he cradles the cup, lost in the comfort it brings. Kiri stands at the counter, simply noting he won't make iced coffee today, resignation in his voice. His thoughts swirl among memories, every kind act feeling like a lifeline thrown when he needs it most. She wipes a tear, brushing off her clumsiness as just another stumble in the flow of life. The familiar storefront glows with a sense of community, its kindness wrapping around those who enter. They talk across the cafe table, the promise to stay open and welcome anyone bringing a subtle sense of hope. In the covered shopping street, he confides that he genuinely likes this world, wanting it to be cared for and preserved. He looks up from his coffee, searching for answers in the calm before an unexpected farewell. Across a busy cafe table, Ichiko reveals her plan to quit, bringing silence to their morning routine. An elder shares the news that Ichiko's moving in with her boyfriend, memories mingling with regret. Ichiko hides her face, admitting her new home will be far away and the future uncertain. She gazes across empty seats, predicting that when she leaves, the place will feel ghostly and alone. Outside Cafe Acorn, someone reflects that kindness fills the shop, but reassures themselves everything will be okay. She offers to show her new place next time, warmth in her words despite the shift in their world. Down the covered shopping street, dreams linger as he vows to explore it fully and cherish its fading charm. He looks up from his coffee, uncertainty flickering in his eyes as tough questions linger. A friend announces someone is quitting, the news landing quietly at the crowded table. An old man grins at gossip, relishing the tale of someone moving in with her boyfriend. She turns away and whispers her new place will be far away, longing and fear mingling in her voice. The regulars predict the cafe will soon become a ghost town once her presence disappears. With a disappointed shrug, he notes their coffee only had a few fans after all. She reassures the group she'll still come by to visit sometime, masking heartache with a gentle smile. The cafe's atmosphere ripples with change as he leans back, wrestling with the truth beneath all the goodbyes. Among shelves bursting with produce, he surveys the quiet bustle of the market. His hands sort through leafy greens and plastic-wrapped herbs, seeking freshness in the chaos. A receipt flutters as he grabs it, the basket heavy with daily routine.
The storefront stands silent under faded signage, memories etched into weathered glass.
He pauses inside the shop, half questioning why everything feels altered. A friend glances up, asking if he's still hooked on coffee despite the hours passing. Old stairs creak under his cautious ascent, every rise echoing with history. Floorboards thump as he walks through the apartment, each tap announcing his presence. He taps the vending machine, hoping the rhythm will yield more than just stale snacks. Fingers tap the glass door, waiting for a sign or invitation from the world outside. Inside, objects quietly shift as he moves, patterns of daily life repeating themselves. A final tap resounds on the safe, secrets locked away as unanswered questions linger. A piece of bread hits the table with a hollow thwack, signaling the return of an ordinary day. Two friends sit together in a cluttered room, tapping their feet as they fall into old routines. One grimaces about food, sharing his hatred for makeshift meals and scalloped shells. Another, ice-tired, recalls stories he'd rather forget about living things doing their best to survive. They ease into banter on the porch, joking about buying dinner while evening sunlight spills over them. Bare feet draw cards across the rough floor, laughter erupting at the fortune of drawn lights. A hopeful face turns sour at the flop, grumbling at luck that never seems to change. He welcomes his friend home with a gentle glance, relief in his posture as burdens momentarily fade. One helps the other down the stairs, every creak echoing their worn-out exhaustion. A small group gathers in concern, surprised at the stains now marring once clean clothes. A whispered aside reveals someone got Kiri's shirt dirty, empathy softening the moment. He comforts the tired boy, ready to face another day's hardships together as evening settles in. He shrugs off the mess and says to just wash the clothes, brushing away worry with practiced ease. Someone explains with a sigh that Kiri's a bit of a germaphobe, making sense of his anxious frown. Tears well in Kiri's eyes, streaking down his cheeks as the weight of it all overwhelms him. Nearby, a friend suggests taking the dirty clothes to the cleaners, hoping to make things right for Kiri. Everyone gathers to reassure him, but the stains linger as a reminder that some things are hard to erase. The group wonders if the owner will mind about the dirt, and a boy quietly insists it's okay now. One friend starts to say but, his thoughts trailing off as he watches Kiri struggle. Two figures sit in understanding silence, as if saying that sometimes support means simply staying close. A quiet voice notes that Kiri can't let go, recognizing the storm of frustration inside him. Sobs rack Kiri's body, each tear mixing sadness with embarrassment and stubborn pride. He stands on tiptoe, reaching for something higher, determined to regain composure in his own way. Holding tight to his clothes, Kiri clutches a bit of hope as he follows a friend down the sunlit hall. Father and son walk through the covered street as wisdom is passed along about making the best of bad situations. A close-up reflects on how lessons began and how much has changed since then. Leftover food sits neglected, marked for stray raccoons to reclaim at day's end. The market bustles with passing shoppers, the rhythm of daily life echoing off the storefronts. Empty arcades stretch on, each shuttered stall a memory of laughter and loss. A lonely figure slouches through the closed shops, burdened by unfinished dreams. A trio of friends sit with soup cans on the cold pavement, their breath visible in the air. An old barbershop sign hangs quietly, the paint faded with the years. A young man stands in the entryway, ready to cross a threshold he's lingered at too long. He pushes through the door, the clack of the latch signaling change on the wind. Eyes scan the empty stairwell as dust swirls, the silence almost overwhelming. Fingers clutch the battered bowl one last time, the meaning lingering as a new chapter begins. She walks briskly with her bag swinging, her thoughts racing ahead of her hurried steps. A quick phone call begins with a hopeful hello, the line crackling with anticipation and tension. The police on the other end confirm the tip, voices steady as details are exchanged through static. She listens closely, the news of a suspicious bicycle echoing suspiciously through her phone. A memory flickers, he was on that exact bicycle, near the shopping arcade, doubt and worry tangling together. Two boys crash under a bicycle's weight, the chaos scattering their nerves and their belongings. One picks himself up, dusting off as his friend stands wide-eyed beside him, adrenaline coursing through both. The fallen bicycle lies at an odd angle, a symbol of their strange morning and unexpected trouble. He walks his bike through the covered arcade, shoulders hunched beneath fluorescent lights and unspoken questions. Tension flares outside as someone shouts not to be stupid, urgency and fear blurring into a sudden scuffle. She crouches, frustration boiling over as she tries to process what just happened, determined not to miss a clue. A bike screeches around the corner, the world tilting as everything rushes toward an uncertain, breathless resolution. He walks the narrow alley, cane tapping out a steady rhythm as sunlight filters through the grates. A close-up reveals anxious eyes as a low rumble of uncertainty stirs within. His hand clutches a bag as the bicycle chain thrums, tension running through the tangled spokes. Outside a concrete building, bustling city life presses in, but inside, uncertainty holds sway. He stands at the counter, explaining that he's here about Kiri's jaw, the words cautious but determined. A hand raised in greeting, Fuji enters, tracked by a wary gaze. Reunited after a long time, they share an awkward moment, weighed down by unresolved history. Someone asks how many years it's been since their father vanished, old wounds opening in the sterile light. With downcast eyes, the answer comes quietly, 3 years of silence, 3 years of waiting. The staff shuffle, acknowledging that these reports have been coming in for a while now and apologizing for the misunderstanding. Sitting back, one admits they dismissed the reports as just another drunken incident. A piercing look concludes it all, it was never random, it was Kiri's little brother moving behind the scenes. A conversation about rebellion is interrupted by a sly remark that even a small non-violent act counts. An unsure question drifts out, huh? As the day's lessons start to weigh heavy on his mind. He's told to start policing the illegally parked bikes, responsibility pressing down in a single sentence. Rows of bicycles fill the sidewalk, entangled wheels waiting for someone to set things right. Crows perch on a utility pole, watching the city pass with knowing eyes and a single ominous caw. Feet step hesitantly near the curb, uncertainty lingering in every careful move. Two friends walk under open sky, the caw of a crow echoing as possibilities shift on the street. Cowman guy is suggested for dinner, memories of shared meals brightening a darkening road. Plans for the evening spiral around food, comfort weaving through their hungry banter. A debate sparks over the true value of a prize, their friendship tested by differing ideals. He shrugs with a quiet fine, whatever, letting the moment slip away before frustration can take root. If they win, the meat will be special, but only if tomorrow's lunch holds the promise of cowman guy and maybe a fresh croquette. He sits slouched, pondering a question that seems to touch something he can't explain. His friend rolls away on a chair, observing the weirdness in the restless movement that fills the space. A close-up reveals tired eyes, the weight of uncertain energy etched across his face. A hand spins a small object, asking Kiri what he sees and whether anything makes sense anymore. Kiri glances at the TV, claiming to be watching but finding no comfort in the noise. They reminisce about books left behind, wishing for distractions as boredom sets in. One scans the wall of texts, admitting he hasn't read much despite the shelves covered in dust. Kiri quietly protests, revealing he's read some Henry and even tried Saint-Exupéry. Confusion radiates from a friend's expression, asking Fuji what's really going on beneath the surface. A comical gesture cracks the tension, Fuji demanding to be addressed as Big Brother instead. Uncertainty hangs over the room, expectations of business ownership making nerves flutter in the air. He admits he's only been a barber and owner for a year, fear and hope mingling under the surface. He stands by the bulletin board, musing that anyone wanting to work here is likely a little odd anyway. A coworker asks if he knows Yukiko from the flower shop, hinting at a possible connection. Rumors circulate about a friend of hers with a barber's license. Suddenly, the possibility of help feels tangible. They examine a resume together, the unfamiliar handwriting offering promise and uncertainty in equal measure. A flashback reveals a gentle woman, her expression a mix of hope and nerves as she folds her application. With a glance, he notes she's older than everyone else on the team, a detail that gives him pause. His manager wonders aloud if he can gauge what kind of person she might be, seeking insight beneath the surface. In the background, doubts linger about hiring someone whose motives seem different from everyone else's. A friendly voice suggests brightening up the shop with a shade-loving plant, as conversation turns practical. Colleagues quietly debate. This resume is detailed, her experience rich, but it's still a leap of faith. Outside, a walk in the garden becomes an impromptu interview, overflowing with awkward energy and fresh air. He reads the resume again, the lines between strange and compatibly unique beginning to blur. He clocks the time, anxiety growing as he wonders when she'll actually arrive. A wall clock ticks ominously toward 5, backdrop to his impatience and doubt. Voices murmur agreement that she's always messing with them, anticipation sharpening their irritation. A bell jingles and the door clicks open, signaling the start of something new. Breathless, she apologizes for being late, her arrival stirring the stagnant air in the room. Memories unravel as he recalls a moment at the bus stop, nostalgia overlaying present awkwardness. A deep breath, everyone sits upright as the barber formally requests her to take a seat. She complies with a faint nod, awkwardness woven into her every move. He glances around the room, uncertain where to direct his energy now that she's here. Questions pile up as the group realizes there aren't enough chairs for everyone. Nervously, she looks to the barber and asks if he's going to cut her hair after all. Smiling, he greets her as the owner and quietly notes she's got the sharp eye of a businesswoman. She asks politely why he applied to work here, her gaze curious yet reserved. She pauses, weighing her response carefully as the conversation shifts. He leans in and replies yes, with hesitant anticipation, uncertainty in his eyes. They sit side by side, the girl breaking the ice by admitting she rarely gets her hair cut. He reacts in shock, confusion written across his face as he processes her words. His older brother introduces him, a gentle moment bridging an awkward silence. A sigh of relief as the girl realizes she isn't in the wrong place, her smile finally breaking through. A familiar pang of embarrassment tightens his jaw, convinced she's making fun of him. Her words turn sincere, praising their names for their beauty and warmth. He quietly reflects that most people wouldn't think so if they knew the name's origins. A panel of memory, flowers blooming in Hanafuda cards, explains their unusual names and their father's love of games. She nods with genuine enthusiasm, declaring, "That's awesome," as she welcomes the story. He observes her manner soften, realizing she's slipped into a casual tone that feels strangely distant. At lunch, two friends tease and smile, the ease between them disrupted by small uncertainties. Blossoms entwine above, both the Fuji and Kiri blooming as May arrives once again. He shrinks away at the comparison, not wanting to be likened to Satsuki and May. A mentor muses over the crucial difference between two nearly identical flowers, the lesson still blooming in his mind. Yukino narrates that while the Kiri, Polonia, blooms upward, the wisteria Fuji's flowers always fall. They stroll through the small apartment, surrounded by a sense of memory and longing that lingers in every object. Across the bench, he tells himself that brothers are meant to care for each other, the thought both comforting and heavy. A swing dangles empty on the old playground, the chains creaking wistfully as the breeze picks up. From the jungle gym, children wave and shout, laughter ringing across the sunlight-dappled park. Two boys sit together, quietly enjoying ice cream, the moment sweet and tentative between spoonfuls. He scoops a bite and meets his friend's gaze, sharing a rare and vulnerable smile of pure childhood. He hesitantly offers his snack to his friend, wondering if he'd like to share. With a shy nod, the friend accepts, breaking an unspoken tension between them. Side by side on the bench, the two boys settle into the comfort of routine and familiarity. Moments of silent understanding pass as one eats and the other looks away, thoughts unspoken. He offers the treat again, but this time the gesture is met with a thoughtful pause. The friend quietly explains that's not how a little brother should talk, suggesting the relationship has its own language. A gentle hand passes the cup, signaling it's the other's turn, their camaraderie reaffirmed. Suddenly, the crunch of approaching footsteps signals an intrusion from a group of kids. With an arrogant smirk, the new arrivals command them to get lost, breaking the peaceful afternoon. Their claimed seat now threatened, one of the boys quietly acknowledges the loss. On the steps, the two friends sit in silence, the weight of the confrontation settling between them. As they walk away, the harsh voice of another child cuts through. He's heard rumors about their old man being in prison. A quiet boy recalls his mother's advice about barber licenses while his friend listens intently. They're warned not to show their faces outside, as if danger waits just beyond the safety of the room. One jumps up, ready to fight, but tension lingers between the two boys on the bench. Side by side, they wait in silence, the weight of childhood rivalry settling in their posture.
A caring adult snips at a boy's hair, gently asking if something happened between the two.
An awkward glance passes between friends, regret and pride tangled beneath bruised feelings. Over the sound of scissors, a lesson is spoken: don't judge, forgive, and let go of pride. Another pair of scissors remind them not to condemn: everyone's life carves its own complicated route. Even when people act out, it's not your job to fix them, just to understand. Fuji sits cross-legged, always looking ahead, trying and failing to be the version of himself others expect. He's told that sometimes all you can do is listen, trusting that clarity will come with time. At the end of the day, loving barbershops or not, the only thing that matters is finding what you really need. She laughs, admitting that this month she was always busy and the barbershop was her only place of rest. The group recalls their favorite memories, warmth and laughter tying them together like a chosen family. He stands, vowing to work his absolute hardest and hoping to create a place others can call home. Please hire me, she pleads, her resolve showing through trembling hands and hopeful eyes. Kiri is put on the spot. He hesitates, then nods in uncertain agreement, letting change into the room. Since I don't know, let's just give her a pass, comes the reluctant, honest verdict. She grins, teasing, beats me, as they trade glances filled with understanding. A quiet moment, she tells him, you read my mind, and relief flickers across his face. Eyes shining, she thanks everyone, promising with a wide smile to work her very hardest. Excitement kicks off with talk of a new menu addition and a ding of the bell at the shop door. The team lines up outside for a bright souvenir photo, Deneki holding the banner high with pride. Mascot heads giggle, predicting the shop will be a ghost town soon if they don't protect what makes it special. A masked figure bursts onto the scene, flinging arms wide with an exaggerated greeting. A woman in an apron responds politely, offering a gentle hello and steadiness to the shop's chaos. The masked host snickers, warning that her energy level is so low it's like all the flowers have wilted. Someone quickly interjects, telling the mask to be respectful and not tease too much. Out front, the group huddles together, posing the question of what makes this shop special to the owner. She considers thoughtfully, deciding that the heart of the shop is the time of year and its traditions. A festive flashback erupts, showing how the outsiders are welcomed and cheered by the community. A close-up draws out the idea that you're not truly alive unless you've felt the summer heat and human connection. One character's eyes glimmer with intensity, instructing others to learn outside if they want to truly understand. Outdoors, a sign and chatter reveal that with every changing season, the old shopping street adapts and welcomes. The shop owner hesitates, reading aloud a question from a card about where she wants to go next in life. Posing together, the staff and friends laugh, ready to embark on their next chapter, no matter where it leads. He sits perched at the counter, quietly listening as voices drift in the background. The digital clock glows, marking the slow march of time through mundane routine. Somewhere, the phone rings unanswered, an unanswered call hanging between possibility and silence. She stands outside the window, rain streaking the glass as the city moves on without them. Across from her, another waits and watches, a tangled web of regret tightening in his chest. A message pops up on a glowing phone, each word parsed slowly like a prayer. Old friends cross paths in the entryway, the tension of lost time coiled tight between them. He opens his mouth to speak, but the words flutter away as memories crowd out the present. A distant train rumbles past, the sound a reminder that the world is always moving forward. Together in the small kitchen, they share leftovers in silence, drawing comfort from an old, familiar ritual. A single photograph catches the light, the smiles frozen on its surface both promise and warning. Sitting side by side, they wonder if, despite everything, they can still belong to each other, even within so much change. He walks home at dusk, mind replaying the day's awkward details and heartfelt moments. A contemplative glance from the playground blends longing with regret, shadows stretching along the path. Bicycles rattle by, their riders chatting about the chafe of lottery prawn dinners and daily grind. At the dinner table, laughter masks uncertainty, the ritual of eating together a fragile comfort. Clouds drift above as a car speeds by, old lessons echoing in strained conversation. In fleeting silence, a subtle smile betrays the hope buried within each small act of sharing food. Their friendship is tested by quiet rivalry as they compare leftovers, both refusing to waste anything. A late-night video game session dissolves tension, letting laughter and bad jokes fill the gaps. He watches the clock, remembering lonely afternoons and the sting of words meant to help. Late routines turn mundane, television hums, food is reheated, memories mix with disappointment. He washes up slowly, reflecting on past mistakes as the night slides quietly over the city. Above it all, the moon shines down, indifferent but present, as they settle into comfort and the noise fades away. Two friends ride together, one in the passenger seat, quietly noting he doesn't think things are going too badly. A reflection on life's winners and losers surfaces, as if every turn of fate is decided early on. His grip tightens on the wheel, wondering if something is always taken away to balance the gains. Suddenly, a cry rings out, Mikage is attacked, chaos erupting between the car seats. Tires screech and the car spins, the outside world a blur of jagged lines and adrenaline. Shouting, they careen toward danger as the car fishtails, the moment suspended between control and collapse. He slams the door and sighs, thinking that things could have gone in a very different direction. Stepping out, they exchange nervous glances, neither sure whether the past can truly be left behind. In the bright light of the barbershop, everyday routine resumes with a quiet sniff. Chapter 3's peekaboo begins. A hand touches folded towels, the texture grounding him in comfort and repetition. The gleam of a straight razor catches the morning sun, edged in a soft shing, shing. Outside the barbershop, the world waits, as life opens sign out, continues its tender, uncertain rhythm. He stares at the TV, another somber announcement warning of elderly people getting scammed. A news anchor details the increasing number of victims, the masked perpetrators still on the loose. She hands him towels to rest in the steamer, her orders clipped but routine. Kiri quietly declines the task, wrinkling his nose at something he finds gross. From across the room, she sighs that she still doesn't want to touch his stuff either. She reminds Kiri he could at least go to the back or upstairs if he wants to avoid the others. He bargains for a TV in exchange for peace, asserting he'll leave if he has one of his own. The sound of a blade echoes as another chides, Hey Fuji, you have to say something too. She pauses under the cafe lights, the bell and her thoughts both clinging to a recent argument. A friend stops by and asks how things are going, breaking the tension with casual conversation. A customer finally arrives for a trim, making light of his unruly mop of hair. She laughs that he's the last person anyone wants to take style advice from, mischief in her eyes. Two co-workers stand in a fluorescent-lit hallway, exchanging quiet words about the colleague's arrival. The new girl bows politely and introduces herself, revealing her nerves as she enters the bustling shop. A young man introduces himself, recalling memories from their old class and revealing he manages the dry cleaners nearby. Inside the break room, someone's father suggests throwing a party for the newcomer, trying to spark enthusiasm among the staff. The newcomer, caught off guard, blushes and wonders if she'll really get a welcome party. A co-worker teases her about who might host the party, hinting at connections with the older staff. With an easy gesture, one of the guys waves his hand and jokes about avoiding boring conversations with the older generation. Someone quietly hopes the other girl named Yukiko will join, believing her presence would make the group complete. A lively endorsement comes from another, remarking how much better things would be with Ichiko back on shift as well. They discuss their favorite place to grab clam chowder, a cheap bar that's become their regular haunt. The conversation shifts to the surprisingly good clam chowder at the Japanese food specialist, sparking a craving. While prepping for the day, a stylist asks what kind of hairstyle the customer wants, ready to deliver their chosen look. She jokes about using a cornrow for style, dismissing doubts while her friend wonders about cultural taste. A young man scrolls his phone, checking for what he wants as the day begins. A framed photo shows friends entwined in camaraderie, memories frozen in time. Two friends debate the ethics of getting cornrows all the time, acknowledging it's a borrowed tradition. Someone stands in gentle confidence, quiet and honest about their own approach. A tired man admits the neighborhood's been rough lately, the struggle clear as he sits alone. Asked if she's a dry cleaner, she laughs off the assumption with easy humor. She insists, this isn't a game, while wondering if the hassle is worth it. In playful resignation, she agrees that cornrows are basically braids after all. A lesson unfolds, vegetables, hair, and identities are intertwined as they prepare for the next style. Outside, the barbershop stands ready for another round of change and small talk. The day ends with someone bending down to fetch shampoo,
a promise of care and transformation drifting through the air.
A hand slowly squeezes a bottle of shampoo, bracing for the familiar morning routine. Scalding water pours over hair, prompting a surprised shout as steam rises in the air. Gently, she asks him to test the water temperature himself, joking he'd be cooked if he were a vegetable. He flinches and sheepishly admits the heat, strands clinging to his forehead. The men's hair wax sits ready on the counter, promising confidence with a simple swipe. Carefully, she parts the hair into 8 neat sections, each motion deliberate like a practiced ritual. As she works, she recalls a teacher's lessons. Some skills come easy, but mastery takes time. 2 generations exchange wisdom and laughter as skill and hesitation trade places in front of the mirror. Lines form at the salon, conversation filling the space as regulars debate schedules and days off. Discussion turns to how barbershops close on Mondays, a pause that reshapes everyone's weekly rhythm. The ritual ends with a gentle laugh, tension, awkwardness, and stray worries dissolve with the scent of shampoo.